Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to be going to the Weeping Peninsula. So just to get started, I am going to stop and upgrade the sword a couple times, since it looks like we're going to stick with the sword for a minute. And I suspect I can afford to do it. Um, so yeah, we should now be massively overpowered for anything that the Weeping Peninsula has to throw at us. Um, let's start out actually by doing a couple things here uh, on the inside, on the mainland first. We're just gonna do one quick thing. There's a settlement up here. Whoa. Let's just pull everything, screw it. Let's not just pull everything, that's a bad way to do that. I had my fancy new sword. I thought it was I thought I was invincible. Whoops. Today might be another Russell plays bad day. That might be what we're looking at here. I guess they know I'm coming already, because someone blew the horn and all the other stuff. Anyway, I have got to kill this guy, if for no other reason than, like, I've got to kill this guy. And note again, we've got the nobles sort of like scratching around in the dirt for some reason all over this area. Right near where this enormous ruin fell. Again, no idea what that's about, actually. None. I've got theories for most stuff. That one, I've got nothing at all. The main reason I was here was for the scroll. Honestly, I don't even remember what the other piece was. But let's look at it. Let's find out. Like, I know what the Ep5 was, but I don't remember if it has anything. Yeah, it doesn't have anything interesting lore-wise. We remember Sellen. She's our magic teacher, even though we're too stupid to learn magic.
There you are, my apprentice. Shall we commence the lesson?
Let's actually look at the house scroll description before we give it to her. Sorcery scroll of the Carrion royal family, the heads of the Academy of Rhea Lucaria. So yeah, I think she would have. We're going to get basically that same information
you wish
from.
To continue the lesson? Very well. I have time aplenty.
We're going to get that same information from the spells within the scroll, but let's.
Is that a scroll? Takes me back to my academy days. Very well. This is sorcery with which I'm not entirely unfamiliar. I'll be sure to incorporate it into one of your lessons. Never lose that inquisitive spirit, my apprentice.
And the Carrions actually have their own conspectus at the Academy, so she would be at least somewhat familiar with this, so it's a little odd that she didn't have it before. But, you know, from a gameplay perspective, it's more interesting to have to go out and find them. Oof. Don't have enough money to actually buy any of these. But here we go. One of the sorceries of the Carrion royal family, bestowed upon the ancient Carrion knights who combined this art with their swordsmanship to maintain pressure upon their foes, striking in waves of steel and sorcery. We're going to meet some of these Carrion knights later. They're pretty good. I mean, they're supposed to be sort of an elite fighting force. And then the Slicer conjures a magic sword. Even among the Carrion sorceries, this is a notably effective technique. So what we see here is sort of a combination of like actual sorcery and physical fighting prowess. Is sort of the Carrion's thing. Honestly, making a Carrion Knight character is not the worst way you could go for a starting build if you're brand new to the game. There's one more thing I want to do before we head down south. We're already 10 minutes in. But let me find... Where is he? There he is. Got him. God, I hope this guy doesn't just kill me outright. I don't want to do this multiple times. Are you kidding, dude? Does this look like it's about you? Yeah, and he's dead, because of course he is. Oh, I thought he was dead. That was my mistake. Okay, let's try that one more time at least. It's not a big thing, but it is a cool little secret. Let's just kill this guy before we even pull him, just to make sure that we don't have distractions while we're trying to fight the giant bear. I don't know why I didn't just get off my horse. It would have been so much easier to kill that guy on not my horse. That dude dropped some of those frozen raisins. Let's look at those and see what they say. Torrent seems to enjoy the sensation of chewing this frozen dried seed. I want some Torrent lore in the DLC. I really do. I have... guesses about what he is. So, actually, this is a good time to talk about this. There's some weird stuff about these bears. Their poop, again, not about you, dude. Their poop. Welcome to the Walrus North stream. Their poop is gold tinged, as if they've had some encounter with Grace, or with the Greater Will, or the tree. Good lord, hold still for a second. I don't think I'm gonna get up. There we go. Jeez. And in the network test and sort of the beta version of this game, one of them dropped a dragon heart. Also, in the expansion trailer, there is a sorcery or a incantation that looks like one of the dragon incantations, but it summons one of those bear heads instead of a dragon head. This has led a lot of folks in the community to speculate that the bears are turning into or somehow consume the flesh of dragons, and that there are other monsters that might have done that as well. And I think it's possible, because Torrent has coloration that is reminiscent of like the ancient dragons. I think it's possible that there is some connection between Torrent and the ancient dragons. So the question is, basically, did these creatures somehow find are they somehow related to the ancient dragons? And my answer is that, frankly, yes, everything is related to the ancient dragons, because of that whole, like, everything is made of the same type of primal life matter thing. But, it does seem like there are references to the ancient dragons and just some of the wildlife. But that's something we can explore in more detail later on down the line. I did want to look at the item we got off of this bear. Core of a creature of mimicry known as a silver tear. So that explains why the random, know-nothing noble turned into a bear, because like he was secretly a mimic. As much a substance as it is a living organism. Material required by the amber egg cradled by Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, to birth people anew. This is basically its and then being born anew allows the reallocation of attributes. So it's basically the respec mechanic. We haven't unlocked it yet, but the idea is that there's this. Whoa! Oh, that's bad. The idea is basically that there are creatures who we're going to learn more about in the future that that have this mimicry ability. And we want to... and it's because they have this silvery substance within them. Not ideal. And once again, as long as you keep winning fights, you can stay in this area forever. Now note that this is going to be called the Weeping Peninsula, but it is very much an island. You know, we're crossing a bridge to get there. Is water flowing out of the lands between into the ocean? Because it sure seems like that it is. There is only one real quest here, and it's a very simple, short one. But we're gonna run around the island/peninsula for a while first.
Hello? Is somebody there? Might I bend your ear for a moment, please? My name is Irena. I've escaped from Castle Morn to the south. The servants there have rebelled. I can't be sure what it is. My eyesight's been weak since birth, you see. But I swear I heard frightful howling from all over. My good father secreted me out the castle, but decided himself to stay. He says it's his duty. As commander, I fear for father's life. The servants are full wrath, filled with hatred for every one of us. They've since come for every one of the companions I escaped with. They haven't spared a soul. I fear it's no different at Castle Morn. Please, I implore you, would you mind taking a letter to my father? At the castle, my sole wish is that he escape, even if his honor should be the price. Please. I just want him to be safe. Thank you. Dearly. Then please, take this. Deliver it to my father, who remains in the castle, if you please.
Alright, so she was talking about the servants have rebelled. You can see basically everyone who she got away with is down. And as we move down a little ways, we see that, you know, a couple folks are still alive, but they're pretty dejected and defeated. And then here we have the servants. And note, they're weird. Like, they've got sort of misshapen wings. Some of them have Sometimes there's more of them than you expect. They've got these feathers sort of growing, but not like through their whole body. They've got these toes, this sort of messed up face. They're just like kind of a mess of different animal features sort of stuck together. And if we look at what that one guy dropped, it was a material called an old fang, a rarely seen specimen of beast fang found by hunting carnivorous beasts. These multiple overlapping fangs grow from a single root. Perhaps they are a vestige of the primordial crucible. And there we have another reference to the primordial crucible, which was this place where all of life was kind of mixed together. I didn't know I was doing a Crucible episode this time, but I guess I am. So this idea that all life was once mixed into like one kind of hodgepodge, and with time, it sort of diverged into the like specific forms that we have now, is very important to this setting, and I think is going to be even more important to the DLC setting. But we've got these misbegotten enemies that are sort of reverting back to the way that was the way life was before all that, before it diverged, and they have, you know, tails and wings and, you know, fangs that are vestiges of that crucible. Again, we have another St. Trina's Lily. I know I say everything is a DLC reference. The St. Trina's search is definitely confirmed a DLC reference. And this area that we found ourselves in now is very strongly associated with St. Trina. And we're going to get more and more of that as we complete this session. So we've got these flowers. They're going to spew poison. And there is an item that content sort of data miners have found in the files that wasn't included in the final game but almost was, where there was a whole previous, well, where my read of it is that there was a whole previous form of life that was just like these Miranda flowers that spew poison and everything, and that we basically replaced them. Yeah, I thought I usually skip this area. There isn't anything really super interesting here. Let's look at the hand ballista just to make sure there's nothing interesting in the description, but I really don't think there's going to be. Yeah. So it seems like that they tried to make bows interesting and usable. There are talismans associated with bows. There's all sorts of bows have some of the cool lore, all that, but bow builds really just don't work great in this game. They take too long to fire, they don't do sufficient damage to really compensate you. Yes, I know they were cowering in fear, but I have a feeling as soon as I grabbed anything, they would have hit me. And let me see if I can find it. Somewhere in this woods, we can see that the Bach being turned into a tree thing isn't just a weird one-off. Because we can find... There it is. Like, that's just the thing that demihumans can do, is turn into a tree like that. More of those Miranda flowers over there. Again, that appears to be sort of important to... The Miranda flowers tend to appear in areas where we're dealing with Crucible and with creatures that are considered sort of regressive, hinting at that idea that there was a previous form of life that was that was basically flowers instead. And that actually has real world mythological roots. In particular, the Mayans believed that we were like the 6th or 7th iteration of life on the planet, and that before there had been other beings, one of which was corn-based. So, you know, Eastern centric, that isn't the only way to build a belief system. There are belief systems that don't center human beings. And that acknowledge that, hey, this planet existed before we were born and will continue to exist afterwards. Hey, remember when that guy was a boss, like, I think last session? There's an item around here that I very badly want to grab, but it's behind... I can never find it. Oh, there we are. Okay. Yep. Okay, let's look at this for just a second. A shield made to venerate a maiden whose eyes were crushed by the briars of sin before being reborn in these lands. Venerating the repose of the soul, this shield boosts focus. The briars can be used to attack foes. So, the briars of sin that crush the eyes of people will come up again. They are a source of forbidden sorcery. Where basically these guilty folks, that's one of the main punishments for the guilty in this world, is having their eyes crushed by briars. These guilty folks found an object of faith deep in the cosmos that was able to talk to them because their eyes had been crushed. And spoke to them basically through their own wound and their wounds and their own blood. There's actually two entities that speak to people through wounds, and it's hard to tell if they're one and they just have two different names or if they're two. And there's a lively debate about that. But this one idea of like there is this very specific idea of people whose eyes were crushed by the Briars, and then they were able to see this entity far in deep space that that could speak to them and that bestowed upon them this new type of magic. Anyway, it also the shield also mentions that the woman whose Briars, the maiden whose eyes have been crushed, was reborn. I am. This is a theory I haven't heard anywhere else, but I am almost certain that that is Irena, the girl who asked us to go find her father. I'm making that up. There isn't a lot of evidence for it, but like I'm sure. And we're gonna learn. I don't know if Irena has any bad intent, but definitely her existence implies some level of like her existence always brings bad things. Before I try to fight this thing, I want to kind of clear the mobs. Whoa! Okay, and here we have a demi-human queen. This is like one of the true demi-human mothers. And note that she can learn magic. That's... Whoop. Didn't get the crit. Would have been really nice to get the crit. Let's not die here. And she drops this Demi-Human Queen staff, which I want to look at a little bit. So, yeah, let's go ahead and... Where is it? Here we go. A glintstone staff styled as a scepter. A gift once given to the demi-humans to foster peace, it can be wielded even by those of low intelligence. Sneered at by fools in the academy. So, that staff is a great early magic item. Like, I can wield it now. I've got no... I've got, like, average intellect. And there's this constant refrain of sort of demi-humans and the sorcerers having this relationship. Whoops. That I'm not sure why. But they're constantly, like, we constantly find them sort of in close proximity. And many of the demi-human queens can use magic. So here again, we see those pillars I was talking about last time that sort of jut out of the land and appear to be almost holding the land up. Here we also see another one of those candelabras that is associated with Saint Trina, that or her alter ego, that is appears to be some sort of conduit to the spirit world. I think this guy might just walk directly off this cliff, in which case I need to go around. Oh, that's just one of those. And he leads us to this earthbore cave. Turning the mic off a second because I'm going to sneeze really loud. We haven't really talked about the stakes of America, but here they are. Basically, well, I guess that's one of the summon stakes. I guess that's not a stake America. Again, we have one of these turtleneck items to boost stamina recovery. The nutrients churn through the body, practically boiling out endless power. So turtles are deeply associated with sort of stamina recovery in this game. And again, there was an implication in an earlier build that they were used as sort of a sexual aid. In a time before this one when people did that sort of thing. And we can see, you know, bones just everywhere, just way too many bodies. It's not like in the cave we did last session where there's just a few. It's almost like bodies have been dragged down here by the, like, dozens. And these folks, or these animals, have been feeding on them. I don't have a good explanation for this this cave other than it seems like that bodies have been sort of lost down here, and that the animals down here have been feeding on them and becoming super powerful. And then the boss is another one of these Runebears. Who are, one, literally called Runebears, and two, associated with, like, dragons and stuff. Can I get there to do the crit thing? Okay, it drops the Spell Drake Talisman. We've already looked at one of the Drake Talismans. Basically talking about the ancient dragons, another sort of connection between the bears and the dragons. The ancient dragons who ruled in the prehistoric era before the Erdtree would protect their lord as a wall of living rock, and so it is that the shape of the dragon has become symbolic of all manner of protections. Again, I think the dragon there looks a little like the map. Not enough to be a slam dunk, but enough that it could mean something. And we've got a Trina's Lily here, which is interesting. Because we had the spirit sort of lead us here. And it's hard to say how Trina would sort of factor into this. Okay, we've still got 20 minutes on this episode, so I'm trying to think what else we can do that might be interesting. We've already... Oh, you know what I should do that would be interesting? Level myself up. We have been doing a little bit of talk about sort of the magic system, so let's go find some magic. Some magic and Raya Lucaria related stuff. Had a little lag spike there. Hopefully the video didn't just completely stop. You can see one of those statues leading to a catacomb sort of silhouetted here, but what I'm interested in this area is going to be this. These dudes, we've got the meteor. We've got these sort of meteors that they're mining, but they were standing around, it looked like they were summoning something, and we've got the summon circle in the middle. And there he is. I think he's called an Alabaster Lord. I sometimes get the Alabaster and Onyx Lords mixed up, but I think this is an Alabaster Lord. And note that he's got, like, writing. Might be easier to look at him once he's dead, unless he falls forward like that. But notice he's got this like gold scarring all over his like back and butt cheeks that almost looks like runes. So again, I'm wondering if all this sort of goes back to the idea of the runes being like the main source of life and power in the Lands Between. And here we have our first sort of magical rise. Forgive me in advance, I can never remember where all the things are. Excuse me. Okay, seek 3 wise beasts. And we've got the sort of gargoyles holding up the... Or imp statues holding up the sign. And you gotta find all 3. There's one. There's another. Then the third turns out to be invisible. But you can see it move if you approach. And note the architecture here is wrong for this region, right? All the architecture in this region is very medieval European, kind of vaguely kind of utilitarian. And then we have this like very highly ornamented very decorated place with like all of these all of these more modern or more like Baroque touches. And then as you get further into it, we've got, you know, it's like a library. It's got these bookshelves and reading stands and everything. And then on the roof we've got this desk with, you know, fancy chair, you know, what looked to be like a seashell or like ocean specimens of some sort. It's a very different feel, and you know, see the like vaguely fleur-de-lis, well, it's not fleur-de-lis, but like the vaguely clover style sort of recesses here. It does not look like Limgrave architecture here at all. And we got that memory stone. Let's look at the memory stone. Increases memory slots. A black, lightly beguiling stone prized by the sorcerers who produce them, so this is a sorcery area. Said to be a fragment of the black moon that once hung above the Eternal City. We're going to learn that that black moon, that sky, everything was destroyed. And then out back here, we have this, it's called an astrolabe, and it's supposed to be some sort of, according to this game, it's some sort of instrument for studying the stars. And we got some starlight shards. An ephemeral silver that gives off a pale blue glow, what remains of a passing flash of starlight. Used to gradually recover FP. A prized item that was once used in the Eternal City as an ingredient in intoxicating draughts. So, we'll talk way more about that sort of next quote-unquote season when we get into the magic system a lot more. But basically, that whole area back there is associated with an ancient city that no longer really participates in the world. Here we see jellyfish, again associated with the dead and spirits. We find them around graveyards. I don't think there's anything over here, but there. Sometimes when there's jellyfish, they're leading you to a secret. Again, the jellyfish aren't usually hostile unless you've done something to take them off. There are exceptions, but not many. Do we have time to do this catacomb? I think so. I think we can afford to do this one. Oof. Okay, you know what? We're gonna pop a couple of these just to get one more level in. I'm increasing my faith right now, which doesn't really buy me anything at the moment. I'm trying to get to the point where I can use an item that we're gonna find in Stormvale. So we will come back to this. So these are the Impaler's Catacombs. Honestly, this is, in my opinion, one of the more boring dungeons. There really isn't, there just doesn't seem to be a lot going on. But for the record, the DLC flagship boss is Mesmer the Impaler. So there has been some speculation that, hey, wait a second. These are called the Impaler's Catacombs. The bad guy is Mesmer the Impaler. It's the only reference to an Impaler in the entire game. Whoops. So, you know, you can read something into that if you want. I don't see anything in it or super interesting here, honestly. I've been looking. Maybe the DLC will recontextualize it in a way that makes me understand. But this here, this rising ceiling that in a second would go up and squish you against those spikes up there. That's a reference to Dark Souls 1, where you got on an elevator and the elevator basically like shoved you up into a spike trap, murdering you. That's really the only thing I see here in terms of like interesting lore to discuss. We've got this basement with all these sort of zombie-esque walking corpse dudes. I think we've got a giant crab somewhere. No, we do not. I'm wrong about that. But there really isn't anything that reminds me of the DLC at all down here. Again, remember that these catacombs were built as part of an effort to move bodies closer to the roots of the minor Erdtrees. And the root system... Whoa! That's my bad. I crossed a single blind corner without looking both ways first. Because the root system of the Great Tree is what sort of draws in the souls and lets them be reborn. This fight gives me a lot of trouble. I wish it didn't, because it's a little embarrassing, but it really does. So we'll see how it goes. Technically, by the way, this boss can be parried. If you're real good, you can parry this guy. So when I gave my little "this boss gives me a lot of trouble" speech, I forgot that I was massively overleveled and that I'd also leveled my sword. So not so much trouble after all. Anyway, let's look at these ashes we got. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell. Spirits of demihumans that are small in stature but have a violent, brutish disposition. Though they seem somewhat intelligent, when night falls, their blood boils and they become feral. So that just basically gives us a description of the demihumans. But note that they mentioned intelligence. The demihumans can use magic, which requires intelligence. They're in communication with both Kenneth and with the Academy of Raya Lucaria. They are clearly a faction in the world. They just get treated as lesser for some reason. And we're going to learn in the future they can even talk. So, like, it's not clear how righteous we are in treating them as less than. But anyway, I don't really feel like I have time to do anything else before closing out this this episode. So next episode we will visit a sort of cursed village. We'll fight some minor nighttime bosses, which will be too hard for me and which will kill me. And then we will go from there and see what else we can get up to down here. All right, thank y'all so much.